Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about 4 books that have really changed my outlook and perspective on life in 2021. So 2020 really made me think about my future. What do I want my future to be like in 1 year's time, 2 years, 5 and 10 years? And I really didn't have an answer to that. But the first thing I wanted to do was, pick up my hobbies again, which was one of them, which was reading. I stopped reading for a while because of studying and exams, and I just want to pick up that whole reading books for fun and not reading books because I'm studying. So in 2021, since the beginning of the year, I've been reading a lot of self-help, productivity kind of, self-improvement books, which I've never done in my life. And I'm so glad I did it because I have learned so much from just reading these books. So I have 4 books that I've read. I've read more, but these are the 4 books that I've read that have really made an impact on my life so far. And I feel like the lessons that they've been teaching in these books, I'm actually going to implement some of them into my life. So the first book I'm going to talk about is Atomic Habits. Now, I've already made another video about Atomic Habits and how I've been using it in my daily life, so you can check that out somewhere here. But I really love the book Atomic Habits. It was the first productivity book I read, and it really set the tone of how I wanted to view my life from this point onwards. And I really actually started to truly think about how I wanted my future to be like after I read this book. What I learned from this book is about how habits can actually change your life. And I also learned if I want to make a habit stick, I have to make it easy, I have to make it obvious, I have to make it attractive, and I have to make it satisfying. So before, when I first read this book, I wanted to implement loads and loads of habits at one time, and I actually got bogged down by trying to stick to too strict of a routine, or trying to stick to too strict of a habit building regimen, and it took the fun out of it. So now what I do is I'm doing one habit at a time, and the habit that I'm trying to implement right now is studying once a day and uploading YouTube. But the main thing that I gained from that book is that just try and be 1% better today than you were yesterday. Because if you're 1% better today, after a whole year, you're 365% better than when you started off as. So there are some days where I don't feel motivated to do a lot of things, and there's some days where I just feel like I'm really sick, or I just don't want to do anything. And in my head, I'm just like, just do 1%. Even though you're not going to do the full 100% that you wanted to do today, if you do just that 1%, it's better than doing nothing. So that's what I've learned from that book. So for all you guys out there, just try to be 1% better today than you were yesterday. Try to do 1% more today than you did yesterday. So the second book I'm going to talk about is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I really thoroughly enjoyed this book. And one of the reasons why I really liked it, because it had sections for applications. So he would talk about one of the habits, and then he would talk about, how you can apply it to your life, and then give you challenges on how you can apply it to your life. For example, one of the habits, the application part of it was, spend 30 days doing that habit. For example, I think it was spend 30 days being proactive and saying to us I'm going to do this rather than I need to or I have to. Just spend 30 days doing this. They're little exercises, but they do go a long way, and that's one of the reasons why I really like that book. So the book encompasses 7 habits, and the 7 habits that they talk about is be proactive, begin with the end in mind, put things first, the win-win situation, seek first to understand, then to be understood, sharpen the saw. The first one, be proactive. When he's talking about to be proactive, he's talking about taking responsibility for your responses and for your actions. He basically said you can choose your response. Behavior is a product of your own conscious choice. So you need to put more effort into things you can control, which is your area of influence, and less effort into things you can't control, which is your area or circle of concern. So to be proactive means that you can choose to respond to any situation the way you want to, and you shouldn't let the other person or the other person's emotion influence how you respond to that action. The next one, which is also my favorite quote of this book, is to begin with the end in mind. So what he's saying is that when you begin each day or each task, you need to have a clear understanding of the direction or the destination you want to end up in. And he's basically saying that each task or each day is based on 2 creations. The first creation is the mental creation, where you mentally think about how you want to do the task or how you want your day to go. And the second creation is the physical creation, the actual product of what you thought mentally. So you're actually doing the task, or you're actually going to that destination, or you're actually going about your day based on how you thought about it mentally. And what was interesting that he said that is, if we don't take responsibility for the first creation, then we will allow other people and circumstances to shape our lives by default. So if you don't take charge of that first creation, other people and other things in life are going to shape the second creation, the physical creation, which you will have no control over. The third habit was think win-win. He basically talks about interdependent leadership. Now, we all talk about being independent in our lives, but he talks about how interdependence is actually better for you, and that true effectiveness comes when two or more people work together. That can mean business or in relationship. And I really like that because I tend to be quite independent. So dependent on others is not something I usually do, but this really kind of called me out and saying, like, you are not good at everything. You will never be good at everything in this world. So it's better to work on your strengths and work with someone who has their own strengths elsewhere, and you guys can make a beautiful product or a beautiful relationship. Fourth habit is seek first to understand, then to be understood. Now, this is a fantastic quote and I love it. It really called me out because I always want to be understood because, I feel like I'm always right. I'm now asking myself, do I even understand where the other person is coming from? Or do I just want them to understand my point of view and not really think about what their point of view is? Am I actually listening to the words the person says, or am I listening so I can rebuttal with my own remarks? So now I want to try, or I am trying to listen with the intent to understand the person I'm talking to rather than listen to make my own point of view. The next habit is synergize, which basically means to work cooperatively, creatively and cooperatively with other people. And he's basically saying teamwork is better than being individualistic. You actually discover more when you're together than when you're apart. So the last habit is sharpening the saw. That's basically having a balance of 4 areas, which include physical, mental, social/emotional, and also spiritual. Now, I'm not too sure how I can get this habit done right now. I'm at work towards it, but I'm nowhere near having a complete balance of all 4 things. Nowhere near. But from this book, the main things that I want to implement right now is 1, seek to understand rather than to be understood. I feel like if so many people did this, then there'll be much less misunderstanding in the world. The second one is to be proactive. So actually taking charge of my responses and my emotions to other people's emotions, and not reacting impulsively on what someone's done to me or said to me, but actually think about, if whether it's worth it to react a certain way, or, to say a certain thing. And the last one that absolutely hit me in my chest is begin with the end in mind. Now, I'm a person who likes timetables and I like a structured time in my day. So if I kind of verge from that, it gives me kind of anxiety. But now with that thought of begin with the end in mind, I can kind of visualize where I want to be at the end of the day. But also I can also visualize alternatives of if I don't get to that point, where else can I get to, without feeling too stressed by myself. So that's what I've learned from that book. The third book that I'm going to talk about is the 80-20 principle. So one thing that I learned from this book, I wouldn't say learn, but maybe interpret it my way, is it's okay to procrastinate sometimes. It's okay to do nothing. It's okay to just, be in the moment and enjoy the moment. And instead of trying to be busy all the time 24/7, because it's not effective. The 80-20 principle basically talks about how, 80% of results come from 20% of efforts. So people who are working pretty much 80% of their life or doing stuff for 80% of the time, only 20% of that actually accounts for most of the results we receive. It made me realize that consistency is key. If you do small little things every day, you're going to reap large benefits in the future. So the 80-20 principle made me think about examining what actually works in my life for me and what doesn't work in my life for me, and to actually maximize the stuff that works in my life. So put more of my effort in things that work for my life. Maybe study habits, maybe just exercise, diet, in general, what actually works in my life, and put more effort into that rather than trying to bang at a dead tree of stuff that doesn't work for me, but I'm trying to make work. But what I particularly liked in the book was when it was talking about friends and family. It basically said, like, you don't have to have a lot of friends. It's the quality that matters rather than the quantity. And I know that we all know that, you know, quality is better than quantity. He really talked about 5 points to consider when you're trying to grow a friendship with a person and to check whether that it's worth it. So these 5 key things you need to consider are trust. Do you trust a person? Respect. Do you respect the person? Reciprocity. Is the person reciprocating what you give into the relationship as well? Shared experience. What shared experience do you have that you guys can talk about, that you guys can actually bond with on a deeper level? And mutual enjoyment. Do you actually enjoy being around that person? You know, even if that person's been your best friend for 20 years, if you don't actually enjoy being around that person, then why are you wasting your time and why are you wasting effort in being around that person? So these 5 points made me actually really think about, you know, the friends that I have and like go through each one and think, you know, there's every single part, there's every key aspect actually applied to these friends. And lucky for me, they apply to most of my friends. So, but it made me realize how much more effort that I need to put into my family relationships and my friendships, and not just focus on work, because life isn't about work. So it's about enjoying the moments that you have, you know, enjoying your life to the fullest, having a good quality of life rather than the quantity of what you do in life. And my favorite quote from the book is, happiness not spent today does not lead to happiness tomorrow. Happiness, like the mind, will atrophy if not exercised. If we don't get into the habit of being happy, we will find it difficult to be happy in the future. And I never thought of trying to get into the habit of being happy. Like right now, I'm not really in the happiest of places. You know, medicine's hard. I'm studying online. I'm stressed. It's not a happy situation. I'm not happy right now. But I never thought that happiness is a habit that you can actually exercise and do. And the way to be happy is to actually find hobbies or things that make you happy and do them often, or do it with other people often. And when I started doing that, it actually improved my quality of life, and I enjoy waking up more, enjoy being around my family more. I don't find medical school as stressful anymore. So I've only been doing this for a couple of weeks, but I've already seen a change. And the last book we're going to talk about is The 4-Hour Workweek. Now, this book is fantastic. Now, I haven't actually finished reading the book. What I did is I actually read the detailed summary on a website called Summarize, and that summary is actually what caused me to read this book. So here it is. Now, I've only read half the book, but you can see I have highlighted so much stuff, like so much stuff. Like I think like 5 pages in, I was already like putting these little highlighters. So this book is fantastic. If you want to read any of these books that I've recommended, I recommend you read this book out of all of them. From the beginning, this book was spitting facts. Like literally, the first thing I highlighted was in page 8. What I did is the red is for quotes from the book itself. The green is for applications, so things they tell you to do, like, you know, write down your goals and all of that. So that's stuff application. And the yellow are for quotes from other people that he's put into his books. So let's read the very first quote that made me feel like, damn. So this quote is on page 8. It says, $1 million in the bank isn't a fantasy. The fantasy is the lifestyle of complete freedom it supposedly allows. The question is then, how can one achieve the millionaire lifestyle of complete freedom without first having $1 million? And I was just like, I really thought, wow, I do want to be financially free. Like I want to have, I don't want to be a slave to capitalism. I don't want to be a slave to working 40 hours a week of my life for 30 years in a row. My goals in life do not align with working 40 hours a week. It's inevitable when I first become a junior doctor, I will have to do that. But like afterwards, I want to have maybe multiple streams of income. That will mean I only have to work part-time and still do other things that I love. Like medicine is my career, and is a very important part of my life, but I don't want it to be all of my life. I want to experience other things outside of medicine. And so that quote really, spoke to me. I basically just want to be financially free so I can travel, volunteer abroad, do charitable events without the constraint of money, without saying I don't have enough money to, take 6 months off and volunteer in somewhere in Africa. I don't have enough money to, do a charitable event. I don't have enough money to travel. Like, I want to have enough money so I'm able to do the things that I'm truly passionate about. I want my quality of life to be something of the things I've experienced, the people I've met, the opportunities I've gotten, you know, the people that I have helped, the patients that I saved. So that is it, guys, for all of the books that have really changed my outlook on life. It's really changed the perspective on life that I've had. It's given me a lot of questions that I don't have the answer to yet, but in the coming years, I probably will have the answers to most of them. So thank you so much, guys, for watching this to the end. Thank you for supporting this channel, and thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and keep shining, and I'll see you next time. Bye.